Welcome back to One on One, New York's longest running sports call-in show. I'm Thomas Aiello. Andrew Gullotta is here with me, and today, I think the first time in the history of One on One going on YouTube Live, we have a four-person interview, if I'm not mistaken. A four-person interview, Andrew and myself. We're here with Pat Geoghegan, Kevin Gallagher. They are authors and founders of the Save the Game movement, which is essentially how it sounds: save the game of baseball. Just bring back the excitement that it once had. So both of them are here today. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come talk to us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm impressed that you pronounced my name correctly. That's a feat in and of itself.
I know a couple of Gagans in my circle of people. So yeah, it's nice to have that.
The question is, can you spell it? That's the question.
Oh, that's a different challenge. That to me is a different challenge. But I guess a question for both of you, if we can get started here, a good place would be, you guys are both members of your Athletics Hall of Fames at Pace and Mercy College, respectively, of course, for baseball. So can you detail a little bit about your playing days and what you guys really took away with you that has just stuck with you the entire way?
And I'll jump on. Start. Played ball my whole life, like Pat did. Maybe you guys too love the game, right? And went to Pace University on scholarship, did well there, Hall of Fame, blah, blah, blah. I went on to play a very, very brief period of time in the Pittsburgh Pirate organization. Injury forced me off the field in the fifth inning of a game in Class A, Bradenton. I never knew I wouldn't walk back on the field. The injury was career ending. But what I've taken away from sports, it's just a great place to be, to grow up, to learn things. And one of the things I've learned from this writing this book and what we're doing now is that there's so many more kids that aren't talented to the level that Pat was and say I was and others that play the game and want to play the game way more. And those are the kids that we're trying to address the book to, number one, and also the game of baseball itself.
Yeah. So thanks, Kevin. I grew up with Kevin. I grew up in the city and then moved to Croton-on-Hudson. So I've known Kevin for 45 years. But I went to Mercy on a baseball scholarship, played for Rick Wolf there. And, I had a great experience there. I was being scouted, hurt my arm my junior year. And when your fastball leaves you after that's over, then you become the control pitcher that you were supposed to be. But, I had some good success, but, for me, what I took away from college, A, I got my degree in 4 years, but B, was the camaraderie that I had with the guys I played with, and even Rick. I mean, one of the uniforms in the back there is the New Rochelle Robins, and I played with Rick on the Robins. So it's that kind of camaraderie that has carried me through the rest of my life. And I look to be part of winning teams. And, being partnered with Kevin and our other partner, Jeff Fry, it's a great team. So, the passion for the game never left me. And I'm just very grateful that I have the opportunity to be on the team with Kevin and Jeff.
And you guys obviously have played, baseball, been around the game your whole lives. Like, what was kind of the first moment where you wanted to start the Save the Game initiative? Was there, one particular point, or did it kind of snowball on itself?
It kind of snowballed on itself. I'd written a book, and so after writing the book, Teach Your Kid to Hit So They Don't Quit, which is on Amazon, by the way. A lot of people received it well across the baseball world. Coaches, players, GMs, they all liked it because it talked about teaching kids to hit the game. When you teach a kid to hit, they're going to have fun. They're going to stay with the game. And you just created a baseball fan for life. You created a customer of MLB, right? And that's so met up with Jeff Fry. Jeff Fry, as you might know, is a 9-year MLB veteran, hit 290. He's viral now on social media with his She Gone website and talking about all these crazy ways they're teaching kids to hit today, which is killing the game, because if you don't hit, you're going to quit. So I met up with him. We started to take a look at this and realize, hey, here's the basis of Save the Game. The basis of Save the Game is the kids, the youth of this generation they're not playing the game. They're not watching the game. They're not going to the game at sufficient numbers. And in 15 years, when the average fan moves on, ages on, dies off, they need to replace them as customers, and baseball is not engaging them. So MLB, we believe, could be irrelevant in 15 years. They're not going to have a customer base, and that's what this is all about. We're trying to save the game by making sure that we change the game so the kids will watch it. It's too boring for them, and teach them right so they stay with it.
So you detail that baseball is a little bit more boring. Now, Andrew and I Andrew's more of a baseball head than I am. Like I'll watch the Yankees every day, but Andrew is just such a baseball nerd. So it's like, I will digress to him. But one of the things, I guess you guys can sort of go in depth with this, is just other sports taking over. I mean, if you look at those bigger leagues like the NFL, the NBA, the NHL is going to probably start to pass up baseball and maybe even European soccer. And it's really a shame because baseball was the first sport. How does that, as two baseball lifers, how does that make you guys feel? That how did this indomitable thing, or so we thought, just pretty much almost fell flat on its face? How does that make you guys feel?
Terrible. I mean, for guys like Kevin and I and Jeff, I mean, I can remember, as a kid, I would walk around to the candy store and I would buy my Topps baseball cards, which cost a nickel a pack. You got 10 cards and a stick of gum. And I would get, Mickey Mantle cards and Willie Mays and Willie McCovey and Tom Seaver, all these guys that I just looked up to that I wanted to be like. What we see is that, to Kevin's point, the game has changed in such a way that they have changed the fundamentals of the game. And by changing the fundamentals of the game, they've also impacted the viewership and the people that want to play the game. Kevin and I are really concerned. I mean, there's a statistic out there that over the last number of dozen years or so, the participation rate for kids 6 to 12 has dropped 26%. 26%. That's not an insignificant number. So to Kevin's point, unless we teach these kids to hit, which again, the Save the Game was the genesis from Kevin's book, really. Unless we teach the fundamentals properly, they're not going to be there as fans for life, right? So, you may not get beyond Little League, you may not get beyond Babe Ruth, but you become a fan at a young age, and you will either follow it or not. And that's what Kevin is talking about, is that we want the game to be relevant for another 125 years like it has been for the last 125 years. And so, yeah, and we want to align with Major League Baseball on this movement. Let's be very clear. We believe we have solutions as far as that's concerned, and Kevin's book is probably the genesis of that.
And before you ask your next question, the website that we have is savethegameus.com. Savethegameus.com is a petition that we have on there. We're trying to get 1 million signatures to harness the energy of discontent across America from the average baseball fan who is not satisfied with the way the game has changed, particularly over the last 10 years, because they've shifted to an all-power game, which, as Andrew, if you're watching the game, you understand there's a lot of downtime in between home runs. There's 4 minutes between balls put in play. The kids today in MLB, they're in the entertainment business, and kids today are drawn to MMA, UFC, Premier Soccer, NBA, NFL, Sony, PlayStations. There's so many ways they can go, and we have them sitting down watching this game. It's slowed down even more now with the all-power swing. So this is a pivotal moment, we believe, in the history of baseball. We believe that we're doing this because we love the game. We believe that people are going to look back on this moment when we get the 1 million signatures. We take it to MLB and have a discussion with them about what we want to do to help save the game, change the game, and grow the game. They're going to say that was the moment this took place, because we don't do anything. Right now, there's only 20% of Gen Zers that watch baseball. 20%. There's only 7% of kids under 18 that watch the game on TV. My point being, there's nobody filling up the gap of the average age TV viewer is 57. As they move on, any business needs to fill it with new customers. They're not paying attention to the kids. They're going elsewhere. And that's what we're trying to address with Save the Game.
No, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And I kind of wanted to get on, you guys touched on about like solutions to try to, fix the game a little, save the game. And does that kind of start in a grassroots effort where it is like just getting, whether it be MLB's aid or Little League's aid or, kind of those types of areas to maybe, teaching the fundamentals, as you said, obviously teach your kid to hit so they don't quit. And I think, baseball, if you can learn, maybe it's not a power swing, maybe it's more of a contact swing. You may see, kids play it more, maybe easier for them to obviously have the fundamentals of the game. And then when you're a little older, high school, even if you're not playing college, at least you can watch it and, grow to be a fan of it.
Pat, I'll let you jump in a second. You're 100% right. All you got to do is play a year or 2 or 3 of baseball. Get a hit, get dirty, high-five your friends, score the winning run, you're done. You're hooked for life. You may never go on to play senior little league or anything, but you're hooked, right? And so the whole point of it is making contact. Our whole pitch to Major League Baseball is going back to the way the game was played for 125 years, which is contact baseball. Put the ball in play, run, move, slide, throw, activity. I often talk about the entertainment value in football is not the touchdowns, to drive down the field. 3rd and 6, find their feet, picks it up. 4th and 1, go for it. It's the march for 15 minutes down the field that's called entertainment, not the one-play bomb that fails most of the time. In baseball, it's the rally, the single, the double. Ball gets away, gets thrown out at home. Players move up, whatever. Let's go Mets. Let's go Yanks. 15 minutes. The home run's a sudden 30-second event. We stand up, cheer, and sit down. And that's where the entertainment's gone. So, Pat, I'll let you answer now. But contact hitting is the fundamental reason we want to do this. Theo Epstein has been hired by Major League Baseball to figure out what's wrong with the game so much. He has 5 takeaways. There are takeaways. We've been talking these for 2 years. Hit the ball, put it in play, continuous motion, defensive action. These are the things that the fans want. And so it starts with contact hitting. And we have two goals. We got to change it up top so the game becomes interesting, so the kids will watch it. Yeah. And then we got to fix it down here so we can teach them the right way to hit, so they don't swing, miss, get embarrassed, go play lacrosse, which is fine, soccer, or go to the street corner. Pat, I'm sorry to jump in. Go ahead.
No, Kev, that's fine. I mean, so one of the things you guys were mentioning John Cerrillo before, right? So we've had conversations with John, and he had a great idea. Is one of the things we want to be able to do is to get this message out at a grassroots level is, we want to get engaged with the local governments and the municipalities, and potentially have a Save the Game Day where we can go out there and demonstrate the 8 steps in Kevin's book on how to hit a baseball, right? So that's kind of like the physical aspect of it, but we also believe that and your generation is growing up much different than Kevin and I am. My daughter's generation they're based around technology, right? So we want to be able to take the 8 steps in that book and digitize them, for lack of a better term, so that you can go online, and the technology is there where you could actually have a camera and measure the swing and make sure it's on the same hitting plane as the book teaches, right? So, but you get an automatic feedback loop, right? So we believe that, to Kevin's point, the Gen Zers are just not watching baseball in large numbers. We believe that we also have to go to where they are. Your generation is online. You're going to live online, the metaverse, everything associated with that, right? So we're not old enough to or we're not too old not to realize that we need to change and be where your generation and the generation that comes behind you, which is going to be online. And we've talked about solutions around that area. But from a grassroots perspective, that's what we want to be able to do, is to get out there with the local municipalities and governments and start a grassroots campaign that way. And the actual petition is actually a grassroots effort as well, right? It's digital, it's online, because we believe that, this is going to go viral with help from gentlemen like yourselves. And that is going to be the grassroots message that we're going to be able to take back to baseball with a single voice for all the fans.
I'll reiterate, I've said this in past WFUV interviews. Working in the sports media industry is such a pleasuring experience, because we get to talk to people like you guys and just the fascinating stories that you guys present us. But I want to jump to a little bit, you guys talk about the modern game and being online and all of this algorithm metaverse-ness. The analytical sword and the way that teams do things now with sabermetrics, and you see terms like 3 true outcome players just start popping up, and then all of a sudden they start multiplying in the MLB and they spread like a virus. What do you guys have to say to that as people are trying to bring it back? What's your counter argument to this? Like, this doesn't work.
Well, here's the deal. The owners of listening to the analytic people will tell you that the power swing that creates the launch angle is a more what's the word? What's more valuable swing? It's a more valuable one swing, 3 runs. It actually scores more runs. It does. And you can win championships doing that. You can, but at the expense of the entertainment value of the game. It sapped the entertainment value of the game. It's the strikeouts are through the roof. There was 6,000 home runs last year, and 2,400 games. It's 2.46 home runs a game. You got to wait an hour in between home runs. Nothing else is happening. Everybody's throwing no hitters now. Everybody's striking out, 20-something batters. The teams are striking out 20-something batters. So the game is slowed down. Our argument is that what's working, the experiment of the power swing is failing. Attendance is down, viewership is down, participation is down. In 1982, 42 million people watched the World Series. In 2008, 11 did. And this past year, excuse me, is my numbers right?
2021 it was 11.75.
Yeah, in 2008, it was 25 million. So we went to 42 to 25 to 11. We have projections to be at 5 million in 11 years. So the point is that this experiment has failed. And the reason it's continuing to go on is because they're still paying these people the big money to hit that way, to hit 200, to hit 220, hit 35 home runs, and strike out 200 times. So they're paying them that money. So as long as they're paying them that money, they're going to continue to go through the minor leagues, bring up through college, the little league coaches. They're all teaching them that swing. And until they realize that they're going to have a revenue cliff in 15 years because there's going to be no customer base for them in 15 years, we want them to change it to bring back contact hitting. Not entirely. You need a slugger. You need 3 sluggers in the lineup, but not 9. You don't need 9. So the argument is that it's sapped the entertainment value. It's affected the kids and the youth because they're not watching it, they're not playing it. And any business needs to have foresight and see what's coming down the road. And coming down the road is as people die, they're not being replaced, and they're called customers, not fans.
There was the to come back to the sabermetricians, right? So you guys can find this podcast online. It was CC Sabathia and Ryan Rucco. They had Theo Epstein on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about in there that while it came in 20 some odd years ago with Moneyball, et cetera. I'm paraphrasing, is maybe they've over-rotated on, really taking a look at those statistics and the analytics. And what is missing is what Kevin is talking about, is the action in the game. What's gone in the game is the hit and run and the steal and how do I move the runner over? I mean, all of these things that we grew up learning how to do and what we were taught how to do, that's the action in the game that Kevin is talking about. And I'll point back to Theo Epstein. These are the things that he is saying that need to change, right? So should they really take a look at, is moving the runner over a more valuable at bat as opposed, or a more valuable hit than the 2-run home run? To Kevin's point, if we keep the Yankees had a saying back in the 90s and even through the 2000s, keep the line moving. If you can keep the line moving for the next guy to come up to plate, that's where you have, the action in the game and the entertainment value in the game. And that's where you get the heart palpitations like, oh, what's he going to do now? That's gone. To Kevin's point, it only happens every couple of innings, and you can sit down and watch your phone and do other things other than pay attention to the game.
Andrew, there's 4 minutes in between balls put in play in Major Leagues. 4 minutes.
Oh.
You can get up, go walk your dog, come back, make a ham sandwich. Yeah. You can sit down. The same guys at bat. Nothing's going on. I get it. The chess game inside out. I get it, but the kids don't get it. Dad, there's nothing going on here. Can I go play the game again? That's what Pat we're talking about. That entertainment value, which is the things happening. Theo Epstein said we need more action in the game. We have 7 great athletes standing around out there for most of the game doing nothing. We need them to run, throw, slide. We need continuous movement. 34% of the game is between the pitcher and the catcher, throwing the ball back and forth, strikeout, walk, or home run. 2/3 of the game. So we need to get action back in the game if we want the kids to watch it. And if the kids aren't watching it, it's a business. Blockbuster just figured everyone was always going to get off their couch when it was 13 degrees and go get a movie and then rewind it and bring it back tomorrow. Well, the kids said, no, there's a better way. And they're telling baseball there's a better way, and baseball's not listening.
But maybe these guys don't know, but Blockbuster was the original Netflix, right? So
we know. I used to have one near me in Jersey.
I'm still old enough to remember my Blockbuster.
All right, cool, great.
We're
For
good.
sure.
But they
We're
didn't
safe.
have foresight, and they went out of business.
No,
Wayne Gretzky said, great quote, you can apply it in. He says, a good hockey player always knows where the puck is, but a great hockey player always knows where it's going. And the same thing in business. You got to see where the generational habits are changing, the trends are changing. Mr. Goodell just signed a 10-year contract, 11-year contract with the NFL, $118 billion in media rights contract. Major League Baseball just signed it for $12 billion. Okay, 118, 12.
Yeah.
You know what he's worried about? And we were speaking to the president of a company that was in the office with him. He's worried about how do my sponsors make money over the next 11 years so that when the next contract comes up, we can sign a bigger one. See, he has foresight. And then right now, Bob Manfred in the group, we don't think they do. And we're trying to help them have that.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think, the contact part. As a big Mets fan, the 2015 World Series with the Royals and the way they put the ball in play, it was as a Mets fan, you're pulling your head out. But those games were, very, very fun and interesting.
I'm a Met fan too. I was at the only game they won that in the World Series, Game 3, I think. But there was a pressure offense. Hit the ball, run, steal. It was always putting pressure on the defense. It was a fascinating way to play. Can you imagine? Success for us isn't to get all of Major League Baseball to change. Probably not going to happen. But you get 1, 2, 3 small market teams who aren't doing well anyway, see the value in it, right? And now all of a sudden you have a David and Goliath situation potentially. You're playing that pressure game and a home run game. That's where it starts. And MLB is a copycat league. If it works, people making money, they'll do it too.
No, and I wanted to ask, because it seems like the whole impetus for this movement was Kevin, your book, Teach Your Kid to Hit So They Don't Quit. Where did you think about kind of making that book? Is that something that you kind of were just seeing a trend and you wanted to write about it, or is that more of like a passion project? How did that idea come up?
It was in my heart for a long time. Pat will tell you, it's hard to sit down and write a book. You start, you stop.
Yes.
You start and stop for a long time. But I'll tell you exactly when it happened, and Pat knows this. I was a good ball player like Pat, headlines, trophies, MVPs, all that stuff, right? My brother wasn't that good a ball player when he was young. Got better later, great softball player, but young, he didn't make the teams. He grew late, okay? But he said to me a few years back, he says, Kevin, you're a good ball player. He said, I give my right arm to be you for one day, to get one headline, one MVP trophy, one pat in the back, one headline, whatever it might be. He says, you have all of those, and you're not enjoying any of them. And, I've never had one. I'd love to have one. And I began to realize all the kids out there, as I said before, that want to play this game, but nobody teaches them how to hit. They pick their lineup by the kids. They throw BP. Joey can hit. Tommy can hit. He can't. And so they get pushed to the side. So the book was written for that kid. I want the kid to, I'm not trying to make the kid the best kid on the field. I want the kid to be the happiest kid. And sometimes it's a ground ball to short and get on by an error. He's happy. Parents want us to hit the home run and win the game, but he's out there. He's dirty. He can go to school and want to talk about the game. That's why I wrote the book. And the book has 8 steps in the back. It's the simplest thing. It's written to the parent to teach the child, because parents don't know how to teach kids to hit. They will after they read my book and watch the video. So that's where it came from.
That's a good way to advertise your book. Like, you become an instant expert in teaching your kids how to hit. I think that's a fantastic marketing tool. One more question here before we wrap up. I just want to talk a little bit about, John Cerrillo, who recommended us this interview, said it would be a good idea, and it's turned out to be a really good one. I want to know a little bit about what it's like having someone of his experience and stature kind of working behind the scenes, if you will, with you guys and helping you guys really build up this entire movement, and how much that has meant to the two of you.
We're smart enough to know that we don't know everything, right? So we talked about it earlier in this conversation. It's really, for me, it was always about team, right? So Kevin and I was a pitcher, Kevin was a second baseman, we knew what we had to do to be a part of those 9 guys on the field. In this endeavor, we're trying to be of service back to the baseball community, and we realized that we needed help. So we reached out to Rick. Rick Wolf wrote the foreword to Kevin's book. He was my college coach for 4 years. I played with Rick, and he gave us John's contact information. I called him, and we've been engaged with John now for the better part of almost 2 months. And it's one of those things where you don't know what you were missing until you found it, right? So he's been able to get interviews such as this. He's got a few more lined up for us. He's got this Rolling Thunder campaign that he's going to, utilize for us. But when you have a professional like that, that's been in this industry for 30 plus years, we couldn't do that. So, we realized that having someone like John on the team is invaluable.
Yeah, keep in mind, John couldn't hit a curveball. I'll guarantee you that. But we can't promote like John can, right? So you got to know what your strengths are and what your strengths aren't. So number one, here, this is the book, Teach You Get to Hit,
nice.
right? So it's a very colorful book, very nice hands-on book and pictures and all that stuff. And it's on Amazon. But what we're doing with John is we're doing a national rollout campaign, TV, news, print, major print, radio. We're doing that with John across the country. We've got a 3-month contract with John. He's not cheap, by the way. And we also have a contract with a digital team that's releasing and unleashing the social media campaign today. We're going to roll that out for 3 months. So between the two of these things, like Pat said, we're trying to get that 1 million signatures. Once again, the website is www.savethegameus.com. And it's for the average baseball fan who's, like Pat says, shouting in the wind every day about how dissatisfied he is with the game. We're going to collect that energy of discontent, put it into one big voice, and go to Major League Baseball and say, can we have a conversation? Your fan wants to talk to you. Your customer wants to talk to you. We're not happy with what's going on. We'd like you to listen to us. So that's what we're trying to do.
That's amazing stuff. Once again, I want to thank Pat Geoghegan, Kevin Gallagher. Go check out Save the Game. Go check out the website. It's really interesting stuff. And we're going to be right back here on One, New York's longest running sports call-in show. So stick around.